This is the One Step Better podcast. Helping small businesses make wins each and every week.
Welcome back to the One Step Better podcast. My name is Matt Patrick, and today I have two lovely people, Renee and Jeff Hall, and we are so glad to have you here with us. They own a couple of Nothing Bundt Cakes in the Ohio area. So we are so excited to have you. We've been lucky enough to work with you guys since right when you were opening your first store, or you guys are still in training. So I'm super excited about our conversation today. And with that, they have a unique story that they've both come from, I would say, is corporate-ish backgrounds. I mean, local corporate as well as big corporate, and then also the decision to go out and be their own boss, which is always super fun. So I'm excited about our conversation today, and welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
So I always want to start with all right, so at some point in your lives, you said, I want to own my own business and run my own thing. That story for me is always so much fun. So what made you get down this path? Tell me your story.
Well, I guess I had been kind of toying with some things. So I guess it's been 5-6 years ago at this point, and wanting to do some things on my own. Jeff has had his corporate career and was still doing that and is still doing that. But I just wanted something, that I could call my own, I guess. And we looked into a couple of things of starting a business, and we all know how difficult that is, just starting something off from the grassroots. And just so happened in my current job at the time, a Nothing Bundt Cakes opened up across the street. And so I became a customer. I was very attracted to the name, and I was, wanted to see what it was all about. So I was a customer, I guess, for about 6 months, and brought the cakes home to Jeff, and I just talked about them all the time. And I decided to do a little digging one day, and just to see what the company was about. And I just seemed to connect so much with it. So I did a little investigating and sent some information in, not thinking anything would come of it. And
how fast did they jump on you?
Well, when I put that in, it took them 2 days to call me back.
That's 2 days longer than I thought it would. You would have been you're their ideal prospect for a franchisee. So I love it.
So I thought at that point I should probably let Jeff know that I really wasn't thinking anything serious. It was just inquiry. So yeah, and so I said, hey, I should probably tell you about this. Nothing Bundt Cake is going to be calling us, and he's like, what? So we, did some research and really vetted it out as much as we could at that point, and then we started the process, and then we just never looked back. So
what we really liked about it versus starting our own business, because we looked at that like a t-shirt business from the ground up, didn't have the support of a franchise that already was successful, already had I like to say recipe.
Got no pun intended, right?
No pun intended, but the recipe for success and a really good track record. So finding a franchisor that has several that are working and is willing to share an FDD that kind of shows proof of that. I mean, this is in general what you would expect to make. This is in general, what the investment is, and truly finding a franchisor that's pretty open to allowing you to talk to other franchisees and get to know kind of their experience and have confidence that, hey, they're not just trying to sell you on the company. They've got nothing in the game to have you buy another franchise. It's more of, hey, this is our experience and this is what works. And for us, I mean, we love the flexibility of owning a business. Think that's great. Return on investment, much better, it's been for us. And
it's better than the market right now. Isn't it better than the market?
Yeah.
A little bit.
So
what I loved about it from you guys' standpoint was I felt like when we met in Orlando the first time, you were just opening up, and I could tell that the community was really giving to each other. Like, I feel like the owners together are all kind of, there's a lot of empathy in the room with the idea behind, hey, we're all trying to figure this out and make it better. And how do we keep improving? And I think the franchisor feels the same way. It's like, how do we keep improving it? So I love that sense of community. That's always a big deal. And, I feel like that is a big struggle for a lot of business owners, is that feeling that they are alone. They're not.
Yes.
And I'm assuming you guys had that worry maybe in the beginning, or are we doing the right thing? And then how did you guys settle on that? Okay, I feel like we're a part of something that's really the right thing to do.
Well, like Jeff said, one thing that we really like is that at a certain point in the process of approval, you are allowed to reach out and talk to any owner you want to. They give you that permission. And really, we just wanted to hear the good, the bad, the ugly. People were honest, but obviously the overwhelming consensus was very positive. And the fact that we can still to this day reach out. I have people that I may had relationships with that I still reach out to that have a little more experience than I do. They've been doing it a little longer than me. And now what's so great is we have people calling us and ask those same questions I was asking 4 years ago. And I really love that part. The people and you hit it right on the head there. The community part of it and the people part of it is super important to me. And that's what makes it all go around, right? So
yeah, it does. It really does. You're not alone. You have resources and you have questions. That's what I like about, it can be a franchise, it can be an association, it can be a group of just, local community, whatever I'm fortunate enough to be a couple of those communities for myself. I've never ran a business before this one before. This is my 19th year. I remember what I was thinking like in my first year going, oh my God, I need to pay the mortgage. How am I going to pay the mortgage? How am I going to pay the mortgage? I was 30 years old when I started the firm. And so I always go back to that going, so there's a lot of firms that I'm in, I'm in the association today, and they're very similar story. I'm just getting started. I don't know how to do things. And having that franchise support with the other franchisees is super important. I'm assuming you did a lot of that, also conversations with other people as you decided to open your second store.
Yeah.
That was another part of time of probably trying to ask a bunch of questions, right?
Yeah. So we reached out to people who were multi-unit owners and were where we wanted to go, so you're always talking to the people that are ahead of you where you want to go, so we definitely did that, and that was super helpful.
A lot of stress involved with that second one, right? Or some more stress.
And it's a change in management, because you can't be in both at the same time. So you've got to be, some of it's personality. You've got to be able to trust the people that you have. You got to train them well and trust that they're going to run it as you would, and then come to you for advice or issues to allow you to kind of oversee 2 or 3 or 4 at some point. So the more bakeries you have, or the more franchises you have, the more you really have to back out and make sure you have that team below you to make it happen.
So obviously it's great to have that support, but at the end of the day, this is still your own business, right? So this is your thing. How do you balance, or what are the struggles you have with balancing what I'd say is your own ideal team that you're creating, and I'll say your own and a unique brand of, the culture that you're trying to build versus the franchise culture, or the how other people are doing it? What struggles have you guys felt like you've had there?
Well, with a franchise, it is this kind of fine line. You have all this support, like you said, and you have all these guidelines and this great map and plan, that you can, but then you're right. Everybody does have different personalities and different business styles. And so I think for me, naturally, what comes out for me, like I've already mentioned, is the people portion of it. So for our business, us knowing our employees, and obviously our customer services, we want it to be number one. But also super important to me is the culture with my team members. And so I think that either makes you or breaks you.
Yep.
Yeah, so that I would say in our business is probably one of the biggest challenges, is finding those people, keeping those people, especially in the climate we've been in the past 2-3 years. It's been very difficult, but we just thought outside the box and did things that you probably wouldn't normally do, but we made it, are making it work.
Where we add a lot of value for the franchisor is being local. We kind of know what's happening in the general area, where a big event's happening. And that's where we've got more flexibility on the marketing side. Okay. It might be that we want to do some kind of fundraiser to help the school.
Yep.
So we locally will go and market to the schools and say, how do we set this up to where you guys win, we win, and we help the community?
That's awesome.
We do it across the board with, several different organizations, hospitals and schools. And that's where it's crucial really for a franchisor at a corporate level. They can't dig into the nits and nats of every single small community. They really need somebody that's invested in the community, cares about the brand, and cares about, the community and the product itself.
Yeah. I mean, your background, Renee, was in marketing. So how has some of that transitioned into what you're doing now?
It's a huge,
That's a huge advantage that you have over other franchisees, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I think everybody brings their own thing to the table, where I had that natural ability to market, to, bring people together, that sort of thing. And obviously operationally execute something. Somebody else may have had this great behind the scenes business sense, and not that.
Yeah.
So Jeff helps a lot with that.
You have that, Renee, you have wonderful business sense.
I'm not saying I don't.
Short.
I'm just saying that I've learned a lot. Even when the day I met you, I said, talk to me like I'm a child because I'm learning a lot here. And
that's been great.
Yeah.
That's normal though. That's totally normal. That's what we expect. Like I often talk to people, they're not accountants. I have to translate accounting to English is what I try to tell people. That's our job. We try to. As accountants, that's not the easiest thing for us to do though. So
yeah, I can imagine. But
yeah.
So the marketing does help. It's a huge part of our brand, getting out there, like Jeff said, and getting the cake, in their mouths and getting them to taste it, and they're sold, once they.
It's an easy product to sell once they get it, they taste, right?
Yeah.
Obviously you came from, I'm going to say Chick-fil-A, right? That was your background, and that culture is amazing. How much of that that background, knowing how what worked well there, what worked did it, you kind of incorporated into how you feel like your business needs to run as well?
I feel like I brought a lot of it over. It's a good, as far as like I was mentioning, the culture and the environment and how we treat our guests, how we treat the people we work with, is, I think if you don't get that right, you're going to have a hard time.
Cake could be good, but if they have a bad experience, it's still a bad experience.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I felt like a similar culture, while things are still different. They're still different. They're not exactly the same. But I felt like I could take, whether it was chicken or cake, some of that I could definitely transfer over.
It's the people part though, right? That's what I think that Chick-fil-A does really well, is their people are super trained well. They've done a good job of being consistent in their hiring, and their customer service is, they push hard on it. I think that's similar to how you're running your business. I'd say you've got a great team around you. You've done a great job of building that team. Like you said, it's a struggle always to find people and develop them and have a path for them. But at the same time, it's also the I want to say it's kind of the fun part. Like, finding the right people on your team and trusting them is kind of the challenge, but also that's I think what makes it fun.
I think that's one, as far as a challenge goes for me, and I'm just in more day to day than Jeff is, so I have more to say about it, I guess. But that trust factor you mentioned, I tend to be a little bit, I want to have control, And so I really have learned to let some things go and, kind of trust and verify, so to speak. And
Yeah.
that's going to kind of always be because I have to, it's like this feeling, I have to have like peace and be settled, have this
Yeah.
settled feeling. And so.
That is so perfectly okay. I am the same way. I mean, I have the hardest time delegating because I really want it to be done exactly right. And at the same time, I know that I can't do everything. Like I can't, right? And you run into the same struggle. I'm sure you're not at both places now. That's a big challenge. And then, you want to take I'm assuming this is like your child, right? It's like, I want this to be customer service, never be a problem. We never have a bad experience. It always works out perfectly. Every cake is exactly how it was supposed to be done. It was right on time. And that's so hard for us. I mean, I'm a control freak. I say freak. I'm a control person as well. And so I think that is I think a lot of business owners are that way. So I think that's always I always say if it wasn't that way, that means you don't care. And I don't think that's how we wouldn't have done this if we didn't care. So,
right.
Yeah, if it was just about making money, that'd be a lot different story. But that's not how it's really not making money is a nice byproduct of it, but taking care of people is a lot more fun.
Agree.
This episode of the One Step Better podcast is brought to you by Patrick Accounting. Do you need better insight into your business? Are you concerned about your tax strategy as you grow your small business? If you do, Patrick Accounting offers outsourced bookkeeping and accounting solutions for growth-minded business owners and entrepreneurs. Patrick Accounting is in your corner to help you make more money and keep more of it. Check out our website, patrickaccounting.com, to learn if we're the right team for your business.
Obviously, now as you've kind of gone into multiple locations, how has technology played into that a little bit for you guys? I mean, obviously, how do you get access to your information? And I mean, how are you guys using technology in that process a little bit?
Well, from, actually, you bring up technology. We just now rolled out a brand new website.
Yep.
So, I know that technology piece for the franchisor for Nothing Bundt Cakes corporate is a piece they're really going to be working on. This is a big thing for them over the next year, to
making it easier to order online, I'm assuming.
Like just getting it to be more current and look more current, and also putting in all those things in the back end of managing how people shop, I guess. And there's a lot that goes into it that, I don't even completely, get, but it, that helps the website. And then there's all the analytics and metrics that Jeff will grab and.
You guys are very fortunate from the brand. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I said very fortunate from the brand. They give you really good data amongst other franchisees. So.
Yeah, exactly. And Renee was saying, we personally don't do anything with a website. That's all handled by the franchisor. All the more reason for that franchise relationship with the franchisor. Those things are streamlined and so much easier. And yeah, they do provide data, and they share data across the whole country. So we can see trends. I get in more the financial side of it and look at trends. If our business is down a little bit, I'd look to see, okay, is it something unique to our area, or is this something that's changing across the board? We're a highly seasonal brand, so forecasting is crucial to kind of look at last year during that high season time frame and plan your baking inventory and staff.
Yeah, I'm assuming inventory management, getting ready for, obviously you guys get a lot of pops every time there's holidays, and certain holidays are more than others, obviously, but understanding what that expectation of inventory needs are. And I'm assuming right now costs are all over the place. And so figuring out how to price and what control you have over pricing and that kind of stuff is a challenge.
Just amazing. So just an example, price of wheat since January is up 48%, and wheat is used to make flour. Our largest ingredient.
Which is used to make cakes, right? I think that's used to make cakes. It's kind of a tough decision. And you guys, part of the challenge is you don't have complete control over price. That is a challenge with the franchise. The franchise helps y'all guys dictate price a little bit, right? You have zones
and guidelines of, stay within this, particular range for the demographic of and the cost of living of where we're located. So yeah, they give great guidance there. I think it's been very helpful, but in general, and the products we sell and across many other industries, just a likely price increases as things escalate, wages, fuel.
Yeah, it's the same. I mean, all of our clients are saying the same thing right now. We do a lot in the restaurant industry as well, and it's just it's impossible to confirm what we're pricing every day, and we're doing a lot of theoretical food pricing, what food costs should be versus what they actually are. And I'm assuming it's a challenge as you guys go on. How often is the franchisor looking at that as price adjustments? Like, are they giving you guys regular adjustments, or is it like once a quarter? How does that
Well,
work?
last year, we have, what we call the tiers, like you're saying, the pricing tiers, and those were adjusted across the country. They redid all of that for it to fit in better with maybe what was to come, because where it was I think going to cap out. So that changed, I believe, last October, September. And, we did some changes accordingly. And then actually we're going to do it again. I think it's something that's very top of mind with them and with us right now.
Yeah. I would imagine you do it a couple times a year right now with the change. Like you said, if it's up 50%, there's nothing you can do but to try to figure that out.
They'll give us a range too. So we have some flexibility within that range. They don't dictate a price. This is where you need to be, but they'll say, okay, you're a tier 2 within this range or zone. We're comfortable. I think we probably could go back to them and say, hey, look at our P&L. We're really struggling, and probably get them to say, okay, we probably need to move faster. We're not there yet. They've been good about watching it as closely as we are, but
it's a moving target for everybody right now. I mean, obviously if you start going all the way back to like our government, the Fed's changing was 25 basis points, and they bumped it 75 basis points. So you just kind of go through this whole process. I think everybody's trying to figure that out right now. It's very hard. We just did that same thing as a firm. We went to go through and evaluate our pricing, and it is never comfortable. It's always like, oh gosh, I don't want to run these people off. I don't want to lose a customer over this. But at the same time, like I got to make money, or just I have to invest in my people, and all of our labor costs are up. So it's one of those things where it's a hard balancing act for all business owners right now to kind of think through. You guys get access to, like I said, the other franchisees. That data, we accumulate that. I'm going to pat myself on the back. I'm the one who introduced Profit Keeper to Bill at the time, the old CFO, and got that plugged in and got them connected, because at the time they were doing everything on Excel. I can't imagine trying to accumulate this data in Excel like they used to. But yeah, I mean, that information is gold as a franchisee, getting to see how you really compare against others, and where you're winning, and maybe where you need to look at as far as areas for improvement. So that is something I think that as a franchisee that you get a big advantage over someone like me, who I have to go chase that information down from other people. You guys get that handed to you in theory every quarter. So how much is that data kind of helpful in your decision making?
Oh, it's very helpful. We've taken things even a little bit further, and this is recently with your accounting group, just looking at kind of over time. I love, percent of sales. I love to equate everything back to percent of sales. What's labor's percent of sales, what's cost of goods percent of sales. And then recently, your new accountant actually gave us an Excel spreadsheet where I can actually look at, since we opened, a running rate of, I can look at March versus March, April versus April, 3 years running. And I can kind of see, okay, what are we doing well, and what could we do a little bit better? And now that we have 2 bakeries, love it even more. And now we can say, okay, why is our cost to bake, the production side of the business, why is it a little higher and trending higher in this particular bakery? And oftentimes it's with a good reason. I mean, somebody was out sick the month before, so it's a little bit of shifting. But sometimes it's, because we're not there in the store, that's our eyes and ears to talk to the manager and say, hey, could you come in a little early and kind of look at, the bakers and that production team, make sure, everybody is active and moving at the usual pace that, they've always worked at before.
that's the awesome part of it. Like that is I mean, end of the day, that's the hardest part, right? Is managing two bakeries, is getting your eyes on numbers and having them and just evaluating, it's the, measuring what matters and looking at it from a analytical standpoint and making, it's keeping the guardrails up so that you guys know where your improvements can happen and looking at those differences. It's super important. I love when I hear that, and our big thing now would be like, if I'm in 6 months with the new bakery, where was I at 6 months with the first bakery? And you can compare that stuff now, and it makes you kind of at least, well, I'm on trend, or, hey, we're ahead of where we were, or, hey, this was an improvement. Labor is a big deal at this right now too. So understanding, okay, we've had to increase labor because of this. How has that impacted our P&L so far? How does that really, how are we doing as far as managing labor costs? And that's an important part of the process. Do you feel like you had a realistic expectation of your franchise of NBC Corporate when you got into it, and they kind of lived up to that expectation?
I think so. I think we, there's always things you're going to see and learn, and I feel like there were no huge surprises. It was, I think people, especially talking with other owners, told us that the challenges we were going to face, and this is going to be hard, and this is going to be, you're going to love this, and just things like that. And I feel like it's been pretty
very, I'd say very transparent, very accurate on the financials. Felt very good about that. No surprises. Kind of came in line with their FDD disclosures of kind of what to expect, and also conversations with they allow, and other owners will share as much as they want to share. Some very willing to share, hey, I'll give you P&L information. Others, hey, I'm not going to share that with a stranger, but I'll give you some guidance, and all the guidance was good, fair, honest, accurate. I would say our experience, especially, we went into this, neither one of us have a true restaurant background.
Mm-hmm.
Chick-fil-A, Renee did, the marketing side of it, but not really running.
The operation side, not
really operation side. So
a little bit, but not managing.
So finding somebody like Bundt Cake that does a full soup to nuts is what I call it, training from ground up. I mean, Renee was gone 3 weeks and worked straight 3 weeks in a bakery, hands-on. And this is
Dallas, right? You were in Dallas, or were you in Las Vegas?
In Dallas.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say they did a really good job. They do a good job with the new franchisees as they get them up and running. The training is really good. Obviously, COVID changed a lot with that. Obviously, you had some turnover in their organization, but also they did a good job of helping and supporting the franchisees during that time. And every part of the country was a little different with how that was affecting people. So, luckily, that I think, that they've stability's happened again now post I'll say pandemic. At least hopefully we're on the finishing line there. But it's been good to see. We've seen a lot of activity of other franchisees kind of starting back up again now. People are kind of looking at it as an opportunity. It kind of slowed down a lot bit during COVID. It just makes sense. But yeah, well, I want to say thank you guys for joining us today. I thought it was a lot of fun. I love your story. I've always loved it. I totally enjoy working with you guys. Hope you feel the same way about us. And, you guys are both just inspirations for, a couple that works together, and you guys do a great job. So I want to say thank you for joining us today on this. And I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you for all the support, Matt, you give us. It's an important factor for us.
And to kind of finish that out, we got good advice from her Chick-fil-A owner early on is you work in the operations, you work on making this thing happen. Let somebody else do that accounting piece of handling the bookwork so you can focus on what really matters. And gosh, what great advice. And you guys have been excellent, truly.
Thank you.
To help that, come to life for us, to where didn't have to worry about, hey, are the bills getting paid?
Yeah, that's right. That's a good thing. Well, I appreciate that. You're an ideal client for us. I mean, honestly, you communicate wonderfully. We enjoy working with you. You're awesome to talk to. We always enjoy all your you ask great questions, and so hopefully if we can make anything ever better, please let me know. I'd love to make it better, even better.
Yeah.
So, well, with that, I'm going to wrap up today's podcast. If you have any questions or we'd love to get your feedback, you can reach us at onestepbetteratworks.com. And with that, thank you very much, Jeff and Renee. We loved having you today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the One Step Better podcast. We really appreciate you taking time out of your day to listen to us. We'd really appreciate it if you would take some time to rate us 5 stars on your podcast player of choice, and make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you never miss out on another episode. Thanks and have a great day.